We team effort that.
We saw Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children.
Them children were peculiar.
That is the one time in this video that I will say the name correctly. Because, like, School for Imaginary What's-Its.
When we were in the theater and I tweeted the picture of me sitting in the audience, I had to, like, sitting there about to watch the movie, I still had to go to, like, IMDb
like,
or Google.
What are we watching again?
I knew what we were watching, I just couldn't remember how to spell it. Like, alright, let me get the name right, and is it Mrs. or Miss? Is there a Mr. Peregrine?
No.
Apparently not. This is a very complicated film. It's not a bad film.
It's not a good film.
It's a pretty movie.
It is super pretty, and we'll talk about the Skellingtons, which are by and large my favorite characters in this movie. But you can tell that it's based on a children's book, well, a young adult's book.
Yeah.
In that it's so far up its own ass with its own mythology that the movie does not have enough time to explain it properly to the audience.
Oh, you can tell that it's based on that kind of book from one line, which is, we call them the Hollows. If there's a line in there that says, we call them the blank, fill it in, whatever, odds are it's probably...
The fact that this movie has terms for pretty much every fucking thing in existence, because like there's the Hollow, Ghasts, and then there's the whatever Samuel L. Jackson was, which I think had a separate different name. And there's the whatever the hell Miss Peregrine was, which had a separate different name. That I was trying like all the entire movie to figure out what they were saying. It sounded like the incests or something.
The incest.
They were the incests. Which basically is the bird ladies that can loop time. That are only ever women and only ever become like these weird unmarried governesses.
Cause
I mean, the 40s.
I'm sure that most things I could bring up about this movie that really kind of left me baffled and confused, I'm sure it could be easily explained if you've read the book, probably, or if you watch some of the dialogue in this film in slow motion, so you could let it sink in for a second.
I really could have used some closed captions on this one, because like, there's one point where the children are explaining to each other what eventuality means they all die, what eventuality means that Asa Butterfield's gonna be able to save his grandfather, why those two eventualities are mutually exclusive, and what'll happen if the loop closes while they're inside, and I wasn't following fucking any of it, so I'm like, you know what, if they die, then they die.
Yeah, they wouldn't take a breather for any of this, but then they would elaborate on the most obvious things. Like
what the word prophetic means?
Yeah. Like, they take time out for Asa Butterfield to explain that to the audience. Meanwhile, I don't know what is happening in the last act of this movie. Why? How? Like, they use
How the loops work, exactly?
They use simple explanations as excuses to basically do anything.
Yeah.
Anything that the movie calls on them to do. Like, if they need someone to turn water into ice, sure, why not? This person can do that. If they need someone to come along and set the bad guy on fire at the end, yeah, it does establish that. That's one of the main characters that can do that. But there are so many times where that could have fucking come in handy in this film. Not to mention when it finally shows what the twins can do. Which is apparently they take off...
They're basilisks.
What's that?
It's it's kind of a snake creature that when you look at it, it turns you into stone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it shows that they can do that at the end. Which, them being able to do that should have made this a 5-minute battle. They only do that once in this film, when the script writes itself into a corner for them to do that. Man, if I saw if I was, like, one of the characters in this movie, and I saw, you could have done that the entire fucking time, that would have saved, like, so many minutes in this film.
The problem is that they could only do it to whoever's looking at them, and I can't think, like... You've got a point that they're fucking little atom bombs, but I can't think of a point where only a bad guy was looking at them.
Well, I'm sure if these two characters from Freaks walk out with the masks on, someone's gonna be looking at that shit. It's not gonna be like, phew, snake face, rock, and someone's like, oh, I didn't see you standing there in front of me.
No, I'm saying that just the fact that they were looking at them turned them irreparably into stone. So it would have turned the good guys into stone as well.
Oh, well then, hey, don't look at me for like 30 seconds.
They couldn't talk. They were making these little chittering noises. That's neither here nor there, because I agree with your broader point, which is that most of the peculiarities seem to be specifically designed around one particular point in the plot. Like the half-monkey knife-throwing lady.
Yeah, what was that? I mean,
she was in a circus, so obviously her powers was that she was half of a monkey and she was really good at throwing knives.
That was well past the point where I kind of stopped trying to piece this together and was just sort of going along with some of the slapstick that was happening. Like, the point for a lot of this movie, I was trying to make sense of all this that was going on. Like, no, I wasn't following the time loop logic very well, but I was still kind of trying to go along with the broader sense of the movie. When they resurrected the boat, that was when I was kind of like, I give up.
I was annoyed with that, strictly from a logistics aspect, because like when a boat sinks, it sank for a reason. Probably because there was like a hole in the bottom.
Yeah.
So they just fill it full of air and then light long, moist coal shoots on fire, and the boat's like, okay, I guess I'm a boat again.
Yeah.
And then it just stays afloat while they go off to fight the bad guys, and they come back, it's still there and up.
Let's get back in the boat.
We fixed it.
I'm sure there will be some long essay explaining to me why that happened in the movie. But I haven't read the book. Like, I should know why this boat's been resurrected back to life that can I just gave up at that point. I'm like, all right, this movie is just going to do anything at once. Like, why should I give a shit about its rules?
I read an article that was kind of enumerated some of the stuff that they changed. Like, apparently, in the book, the fire girl's power and the air girl's powers were switched around. Like, the love interest was the one with the fire powers, and the other one was the air girl. And I mean, like, they could have just switched the two characters because those, like, they had little difference between them.
Yeah.
Personality-wise, they could have just switched them.
It should have been way more like Two-Face's girlfriends from Batman Forever.
You mean Drew Barrymore and Debbie Mesa?
Exactly.
I love those characters.
Me too.
Why are they there? So they switched those around. Apparently, Tim Burton just invented Samuel L. Jackson's character out of whole cloth because he really wanted Samuel L. Jackson to be in his movie. I mean, he was joking when he said that, but they asked him why, and he's like, I wanted to work with Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson's great. Like, I mean, he's having a great time in this movie.
He's basically like an egg all over my face mode.
Yeah, and
simultaneously terrifying and also could not give a fuck.
Yeah, like he was creepy in moments in the movie, but then there's other parts where it's like, oh, Samuel's just having some fun. Like, he got some laughs out of. He got some genuine laughs out of me in it, and the way he looks in the movie is kind of like he's playing like an older, like Mr. Glass aged a little bit from Unbreakable. No, he was fun. Like, I mean, it's. Even in a Samuel L. Jackson movie that I don't like, I'm hard-pressed to think I've ever walked out of it going, boy, I hated Samuel L. Jackson in that movie. No, he was having fun. And then in the last act when the skeleton army came out.
I was, like, beaming from ear to ear for that skeleton army part. Like, I think that they hired, like, the CG guys, and they're like, and then, like, these big invisible guys covered with cotton candy fight, like, a skeleton army that's being controlled by puppets by a 13-year-old disturbed child. And they're like, okay, slapstick it is. Yeah. So, like, the skeletons are like, whoop, 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 running around.
That was...
like, just stabbing at them with implements. And there's one point where, like, one of the bad guys falls down the back, and then the umbrella sticking out his back goes poof. And that was for nobody except for the guy that was in charge of making that guy fall over.
And because Tim Burton's a big fan of Jason and the Argonauts. And possibly even Army of Darkness. Like... When the skeleton army ran out, I was sitting there like, okay, point. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting the skeleton army to come out, but that was another thing where I was like, in the loosest definition of what this character can do, sure, he just made a skeleton army happen. Why the fuck not? And then this big elephant pinata robot thing.
I kind of like that kid's character arc, because you had this sort of like...
He actually had an arc.
Fucked up Sid from the Toy Story type character who, like, his peculiarity was that he could take what looked to be living hearts and put them into dead things or puppet things or, like, combinations of dead things and puppet things, and then control them for his amusement. And it was kind of, the movie was making him out like he was going to be this secret bad guy, but it turned out no, he's just a fucked up kid who is, you know, a teenager. And so when they fix the boat, it's full of skeletons. And so Asa Butterfield says, okay, I've got a plan, but I'm going to need your help, Sid from Toy Story. And I'm like, oh boy, skeleton army. And then, like, each skeleton had their own little personality.
Yeah, it was
There was
funny.
one with the chef hat, and he was my favorite because he, like, kicked it forward like Popeye.
I like the ones you could see in the... They did a good job with those, because you could see, like, random ones in the background doing their own thing. Like, just in the background at one point, you just see one run away from the monster with his arms flailing. Like, they did that a couple of times, and it was funny. Like, it's like I said, I'm like, I've given up trying to make sense of this shit, so, but hey, the skeleton army's really funny. And the kid you're talking about, I liked him better than our main character.
Yeah. Well, he was just a fucked up little dude, and Tim Burton does really well with the fucked up little dudes. Like, there's this one point where he's trying to be mean to Asa Butterfield, but he's just a punk kid, so he's not doing very well. So he's like, I'm going to tell you what the secret is. Let's go upstairs and talk to my friend. And there's, like, this dead kid laying on the bed. And so Sid goes over and he picks up a heart out of the entail, puts it in the kid. And the kid sits up, and he's like, hey, Asa Butterfield, want to know who killed me? And it's that sort of, like... It's the sort of thing that you'd expect a fucked up child of that particular age, with a good heart, but a wrong brain, to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's... One thing I liked about this movie was stuff like that, because it was back to Tim Burton doing what could be described as a family movie, but doing really fucked up shit in it. So there's a
Samuel L. Jackson gets his eyeballs stabbed out of his head, like right here in the camera.
Even before then, when they're feasting on a platter of eyeballs, like, that's... Granted, I have seen that twice this year, which is weird. They're feasting on eyeballs.
Was it in a kid's movie?
No, it was in the Neon Demon. The furthest thing from a kid's movie this year.
But I do like it to, like, skirt around it, because there's, you know, basically the monsters eat eyeballs to try and get some of the humanity back in their face. And instead of just alluding to it, they straight up put a plate of eyeballs in front of you, and they have the monsters sit around with chopsticks, like, delicious, and then their faces are slowly going back to normal.
You got to see him throw one of them up in the Neon Demon. I love that fucker. That was the better eyeball eating movie this year. But I was sitting there like, all right, yeah, I like that Tim Burton, where it's like, you know, you can get like a family clamshell tape of Beetlejuice, a movie which has a scene where he's nice fucking model, honk honk.
Beetlejuice is fun for the whole family.
Oh, it is. Yeah, hell yeah. I saw that movie when I was a kid in the theater several times.
But that sort of, like, you know, will terrify the children just a little bit.
Yeah, and I like that about the movie. I did. I just wish it made more sense. I mean, like, it did kind of feel like, oh, Tim Burton kind of wants to do, like, I don't know, X-Men meets Harry Potter meets Basket Case 2.
There's a book that I read back when I was a kid, and I've been trying the entire time sitting through this movie to remember what the title of it was. It was basically like this kid gets lured away to this house for children where every day is a holiday, and when he eventually gets free, it's kind of like a horror book. It turns out that he's been living the actual holidays, and it's like 40 years in the future, and his parents are long dead, and so he has to go back and figure out a way to have that not have happened. And it kind of reminded me of that. That's sort of like for children, but also so fucked up it's gonna stick with a child for years afterwards. Because children need that sometimes.
Fuck yeah! Hell yeah, they did.
I wish this movie didn't hate his parents so much. Because what was their crime, really? Like, his mother, okay, was distant and didn't know what to do with her mentally unstable child.
That we saw, because we only saw her in one scene.
Yeah, she was, like, she didn't want him to go to Wales. That was her crime.
Yeah.
And then the dad, Chris O'Dowd, doing a very peculiar American accent. Which was, it was believable, just not out of Chris O'Dowd's face. He was, like, he was a writer and trying to be friends with his son.
It seemed like his...
While also not being able to get along very well with his father.
Yeah.
And for those two crimes, he ditched them completely at the end of the movie to go live with his little teenage girlfriend in 1943.
Well, yeah, but Chris O'Dowd's character was a big dork.
He was a dork. Fuck him, he doesn't deserve children.
Fuck him. He wants to... Yeah,
he's still sitting in Wales, like, where did my son go? Is it because of the sheep? It's because I didn't believe him about the sheep? Just a wretched shell of a man? How do I go home to my wife and tell her that I lost my child in Wales?
Oh, he ain't going home. He's being tried for murder.
No body, no crime.
This movie is sort of like if the son in Big Fish had another son, and then that son, like, went back and lived Grandpa's tall tales. And
then fucking just ditched his dad because fuck him for not believing the fish stories.
Fuck that dude.
So that bummed me out a little bit. At the end, it's like, but your parents, how old are you supposed to be?
It kind of made sense, because Asa Butterfield's character in this movie is severely fucking incompetent.
That's true. He's not very good at shooting a crossbow, and all of his plans involved shooting a crossbow. But we don't know how the loops work. Maybe he can just go back to his parents when he feels like it. Apparently he was able to make his way back to 1943 by just, like, going into loops.
Yeah, they really should have elaborated on that a little bit. Like, then I went to Japan, then I went to London, I joined the Navy, and then I found you.
And here I am.
Like, okay, you might... Give me the long version of this. Like, I know we're over 2 hours, but just give me the long version of this one thing.
Just explain it to me a little bit.
Just fucking Christ, man. Like, I don't need everything spoon-fed to me, like the word prophetic, but a little here and there. But the movie it's pretty to look at.
It's watchable. When it's on Netflix, you could give it a shot.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's a good Netflix watch. It's a good rental. The cinematography's great. The special effects are really good. The 3D is solid.
That scene where they're getting like snow and cotton candy on those invisible guys was really, really pretty.
Yeah, no, it is. This is, I mean, you know, Tim Burton, his movies, even usually a lot of the bad ones, will still be really, really good looking movies. There are some where it's sort of like, he might be sleepwalking through this, I don't know. Or some where it's just like an onslaught of way too much fucking CGI. No, this one, the cinematography's gorgeous. It's a pretty looking film. I like that when he films the subdivisions early on in the movie, it looks like something straight out of like Edward Scissorhands. So it's a solid looking movie, but I don't know, maybe it needed a rewrite or something. Just like one more draft.
I feel like they might have cut some stuff out too, because probably like, that scene where they were about to kiss in the on the boat when they were fixing it, and then Sid burst into the door like, "Hey, what are we doing?" You got the impression they cut it in such a way that it would look like they were about to kiss, and then, okay, they got interrupted. But you could tell there was something there. Yeah. Like, maybe they did kiss, and they had a conversation about the kiss, or maybe, like, they had gotten a fight or something. I'm curious to see what that deleted scene was.
There was something like that earlier in the movie, where there was just a really quick cut, and we were in a completely different scene, but the camera was still fixated on Asa Butterfield, so it took me a second to realize, like, oh, this is...
This is weeks later.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Like, it's not bad. It just gave me kind of a headache.
But yeah, like, the main reason I wanted to see this movie is because the preview was so pretty, so it stands to reason it had pretty... The preview played that, it's a cover of New World Coming. It's really pretty, and it's all, like, the underwater scene where she's, like, blowing out the room.
They should have played that in the ending credits to this movie, and not whatever stupid song the studio probably forced onto the ending credits of this.
I think that someone wrote that song for this movie.
Yeah.
In much the same style as like the end credit Ninja Turtle songs.
Yeah.
I think if you were listening carefully, it explained the whole thing about the loops.
Mm-hmm.
You should have sat through it. We would understand what was going on.
Right. Yeah. I didn't care that much. I don't listen to this stupid song. That song that played at the ending credits of this sounded like it should have been in that stupid Left Behind YA movie I saw last night. Fuck that.
Previous?
Yeah.
The Space Between Us. Get it? It's about Ace and Butterfield in space. Mm-hmm. And then he comes to Earth to date a lady. And then his heart explodes.
It seems like he learned nothing about Earth when he was on Mars, because he's shocked by everything on this planet.
Is. I think that he's just enjoying being shocked by stuff, because like this horse shows up, and surely he read a book about a horse at some point.
Uh-huh.
Unless they were just like, unless they taught him nothing.
Yeah.
He read a book about a horse. He's just, there's a scene where she's like, watching this caterpillar crawl across his finger, and like, yeah, maybe it's because he's never seen one in person before, but like just the mind-boggledness on his face.
This planet is full of Martians. Crazy monsters.
There's like a wacky, waving, inflatable arms flailing guy, and his little girlfriend's like, is it someone you know? And he's like, yeah, because I'm from Mars. There's space between us.
He can't wait to see The Martian with Matt Damon and then sue the makers of that movie for stealing his life story.
How dare you? It's like The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, only instead of a bubble, it's Mars.
Yeah, the bubble is Mars.
Sort of.
Kinda. I can see that.
A Dog's Purpose. They're good dogs, Brent. It's a movie about dogs and how good they are.
Hey, the other day I had to watch Sherlock Undercover Dog. This movie looks like a masterpiece compared to that. You wouldn't have liked that movie very much.
It's about like Sherlock Holmes if he was a dog?
You'd think that. But
I'd watch that movie.
You do not want to see this movie. The name of the dog in the movie is Sherlock Bones. I even saying that is
sold.
You'll regret that purchase. It's not I'm now way more excited to see A Dog's Purpose, having seen the Sherlock Dog movie. Yeah, that looks like something Allison and I will probably be at.
Maybe they should make like an Encyclopedia Brown, but with dogs.
Yeah.
Encyclopedia Bones.
Encyclopedia Bones. The dog didn't do nearly as much cocaine as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, Brian would be able to come up with a good pun for that one, but I got nothing. Like Encyclopedia? Nope, I got nothing. Hidden Figures. Oh, okay, you left for that one. It's about like a group of black women who I guess worked for NASA in the 60s. That's why I left
for that one.
It actually looks pretty interesting. It's like one of them's an engineer, one of them's a mathematician, one of them's Viola Davis. So I think it's her job to just like be there and be sassy on behalf of the other two. They're like just getting rained down on by the man.
Yeah, I've gotten that trailer before. Like
not Viola Davis, Octavia
Spencer.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Brian and I got that in front of. Probably when the bow breaks. No, yeah, that looks like it'll be pretty good. I had to use the restroom, so I was waiting for a trailer to pop up that I'd seen before. I should have waited.
You've never seen A Dog's Purpose?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it online because some people sent it to me because it's got a talking dog in it. So I hadn't seen it theatrically before.
I'll admit, that it kind of tugs at my heartstrings a little bit, but just because it's meant to, I think. Because it's how one dog is all dogs, and he's a good boy, and he remembers you.
He wants to be a good boy.
He's gonna help you find a girlfriend, Brent. Monster Trucks. We've talked about Monster Trucks.
Yeah.
Moana.
Oh, I hadn't seen that trailer yet. I mean, not the full trailer. I've seen the teaser.
The more trailers I see, the more interested I am in the movie. It's just that it seems... Maybe they're just cutting it together weird. That it's ruining the pacing of it. Because it seems really thrown together. And it seems like The Rock's voice shouldn't be coming out of that face and body.
Yeah. It's one of those trailers where... it would do something that made me chuckle, and then be followed by, I got a dart in my butt. Ha! So there'd be like some groaners mixed in with, like it was funny when he jumped into that well thing at the end.
I am still falling.
Yeah, that's one where that could go either way.
Well, those little coconut creatures are pretty funny looking.
Yeah.
But whatever. Smurfs Lost Village.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble for calling it Smurfs 3 last time.
How many Smurfs is it?
It's the third, but it's a reboot. So...
Is it by the same people?
I don't know. It's called Smurfs Lost Village or something, so...
It definitely looks better than the other ones.
I apologize for calling it Smurfs 3. I'm sure it's going to be a fucking masterpiece either way.
Third Smurf.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck ever. Yeah, another one Allison and I will probably be at.
Smurfs Tokyo Drift.
Yes! Oh, then I would be sold.
Starring new, young, annoying Smurf trying to learn how to drive a car. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which I'm still very excited about.
Me too. That looks fun.
It does look fun. I think I'm really gonna like the little Muggle guy.
Oh yeah,
the nomad.
Yeah, he got the most laughs out of me in the trailer.
I wish I was a wizard. It's like you are the me in this movie, friend.
I just love that actor.
And then Trolls. Which this is the first time I've seen this preview, which seems to have given away the end of the movie. Did you get that impression?
I know most trailers do that nowadays.
Because I've seen the one where it's like Branch and Anna Kendrick, like on their little rescue mission and bantering back and forth. But this one, like they're talking about the power of music saving the day, and you see all the trolls that like have all this color sucked out of them, and then the Justin Timberlake one is singing True Colors, and the colors come back. And they break free. I feel like that was probably the end of the movie that they showed us.
Maybe. I don't know.
But if it is, then, I guess I don't need to go see it.
Yeah, that was a weirdly pretentious trailer for that movie. They kept having Justin Timberlake sit there and tell us, like, about the meaning of music. Meanwhile, it cuts to a fucking auto-tune song, so...
I feel like that they're not sure what to try to sell us on in this movie, because it's Trolls, so they're trying to sell us on the 80s nostalgia of it, and it's Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, so they're trying to sell us on the chemistry that we're supposed to believe those two have.
Like that chemistry we got with them introing it with...
They're like, I'm Justin Timberlake, and I'm Anna Kendrick, except they did it backwards.
They did it backwards, because, that's not right.
But I think in this one they're trying to and also they're really good singers, and we wrote some songs for this one. Like, I Can't Stop the Feeling, which is coming up on my Spotify, and that True Colors song they played almost the entirety of.
I think this trailer was meant to show us that at the least it's probably a good-looking movie.
I've known it's a good-looking movie. They animated the shit out of that glitter.
Yeah, That's some good 3D glitter.
It's glinting in the sunlight. You have 3 minutes to get into your next movie.
Okay, well, I gotta go see Deepwater Horizon, or
Deepwater Ho.
Deepwater Ho, as the marquee says.
We know.
I gotta see my Wahlberg movie thing.
Have fun!
See it.